You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. This episode is sponsored by the Using the Power of Your Voice eGuide, your guide to launching your podcast in 30 days. Slayers, are you feeling a call from God to start a podcast but uncertain about where to begin or what you'll need? Creating a podcast can be a fulfilling and enjoyable experience, whether you're interested in sharing your expertise on a specific subject, conducting engaging interviews, or educating and entertaining your listeners. Podcasting can help you establish strong connections and foster a sense of community. Using the Power of Your Voice is a guide to start your podcast in just 30 days, and it's perfect for anyone who is clear that God told them to start a podcast. Whether you're nervous about recording or unsure where to start, this guide will provide you with valuable insights and actionable steps to help you record and launch in 30 days. In this guide, you'll learn to identify your why, find your topic, learn where to host your podcast, and what equipment you need to start. If you are ready to be obedient to your calling and start your own podcast in just 30 days, download your copy of Using the Power of Your Voice today by going to www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. That's www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. Thank you for your support, and I can't wait for you to start using the power of your voice. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt Project. You know what I forgot to say? This is not live, okay? So I edit everything.
Oh, cool.
And that's probably the reason why that happened, right? Because you forgot to say it.
Okay.
So it's fine. Okay. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt Podcast. I am here with Kemi Kodja of Highly Favored Creative. Hey Kemi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am amazing.
Yay.
I said like right before I was going to do this, I really needed to, and I always do this. Like I should really get better at this, people. I don't. Like I tell people all the time I have open tab syndrome. So like it's like I have a thought and then move on to the next thing. But I wanted to find the post that when I first found you, because whatever it was, like snatched my soul. And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna find it, y'all.
Tell me.
I know I'm gonna find it, y'all, and I am going to link it in the show. I know I'm going to find it, and I'll link it in the show notes so y'all can see, because that is how I found you. And I was like, ever since then, I was hooked. I was like, okay. I think I saw it through somebody else had posted it in their stories, and then I went and looked, and I was like, okay, all right, yep.
Oh, I love hearing those stories.
So whatever it was specific for me on that day. And I appreciate you and thank you for your obedience. I know that when we do stuff, sometimes we be like, don't nobody paying attention. This is random. It's for me, but no, you're making an impact. So I was like, dang, why didn't I? As soon as I pressed record, I was like, why didn't I remember that? So anyway, y'all, that was off topic, but I wish I had remembered to do that. But in the meantime, guys, I am going to let Kemi introduce herself. So Kemi, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yes. So my name is Kemi Kodja, and I'm a content creator, a writer, entrepreneur, marketing manager. I wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
My favorite one is being a Christ follower and helping others deepen their relationship with him and grow a relationship with him. And I started as a creator. I pivoted a lot. Like I started as a self-love content creator, then it was business marketing, then it was Christian life coaching. now I'm kind of like I just want to talk about Jesus, and I just want to share with others. And I think there is something happening that the Lord is preparing me for. I don't know what exactly, but right now I just feel called to be obedient, to just share him with others and being still there and not trying to figure out too much.
Listen, okay.
Yeah.
So this why I told y'all, like I told you, whatever she said on that day snatched my soul, and she already started. We ain't even get into it. She just telling you who she is, okay?
Yeah.
Because that word right there, the obedience part, is, we talk about it often here. The importance of it, even for myself, like personally in this very moment. And I'm always like, whenever I talk to people, God be knowing I need to talk to them on that day. But I was literally watching an old series from my church, and he was talking about the story was he was talking about Jonah. He's doing a series on Jonah, and he was talking about your obedience and what you need to do, and when you hear from God, you need to believe what He's saying, and then you need to obey. And so he said the problem with the obeying is that we don't believe, and you have to believe before you obey. Y'all, we about to go to church real quick. I just told you what I tell you. I said to have it Holy Spirit move me. That's where we going.
Yes.
And so he says, you got to believe in order to obey. And the problem is we don't believe. We don't believe that God going to do what He say He going to do. We don't believe He's going to provide, or He's going to give us what we ask for, or He's going to bless us in the way that He said He's going to do it. And so he said, what we have to do is just obey and trust that God will handle the consequences of our obedience.
Amen. And I think sometimes too, like it's not just obeying and believing that He's gonna do it. It's like, Lord, you said this, but where I'm at right now, it doesn't look like where you said you're taking me. And so that in between space of like, are you sure? Like, what? I know you're working, but what are you doing, Lord? Like, it
what
doesn't
are you
look
doing?
like. Yeah, it doesn't look like. And so in that space, we feel the need to either take over and do things ourselves, or like, it's just no, I have to catch myself and be like, Kemi, are you doing this because you feel like you gotta help God and you gotta make things happen yourself, or is He actually telling you to do this? And so it's not easy.
No, it really isn't. And we talk often about the fact that people have this misconception of Christians and believers and stuff, and it's like life is not perfect. I mean, if Jesus' walk wasn't perfect, like that man died, like for us. Like when you really think about it, like, He did not have like this picture perfect life. That this man was persecuted, didn't nobody believe him. He literally goes through the same thing we go through, and then He dies to save us. Like, how is that a win, right? Like when you really think about it, I'm not doing that.
And even before He died, like that night in like the garden when He had the doubts and He's like, Lord, if it's your will, like save me from this cup. Like it shows that even He had doubts. Even he had a moment of being like, yo, if there's a way for us to do this differently, like please, Lord, like please. Like even He had that moment. So it's like,
yes, He absolutely did. And He said, but if it's in your will, like your will be done, right? And so oftentimes we have this conversation within my community about having the doubt. Like that's not unnormal. Like, child, I always say Moses is my guy, right? Like he was out here like, I can't talk, I don't have nothing to say. Send somebody else. Like he thought of every single thing. And it's like at the end of the day, you're not going to stop whatever God has for you. It may be delayed, but you're not going to stop whatever He has for you. But ultimately, His will be done, even with you fussing and fighting. So you might as well just go, right? Like you might as well just do what it is, even in your, huffing. It's like when you tell your kids to do something and you be like, it don't matter. You're cleaning. It doesn't matter. You're still folding the clothes. You're still doing what I asked you to do.
Yeah.
With your attitude, okay? Take your attitude with you. And so it's the same thing for us. So what I wanted to ask you, because Lord, see, please,
it's all good. Let the Holy Spirit.
Right? So when you were transitioning, right, and saying it's always been content, but you kind of went from self-love to this thing to business to life coaching to wanting to really bring people to Christ. Like, what do you think was the thing that kind of what was the I think I got two questions. So on the one hand, I want to know like what was the thing that kept you moving, right? Like the kind of like bounce around. Like, because we do that, right? Sometimes we do what's trendy. Sometimes we do what's, oh, okay, this is happening. I've shared on here that in my walk, there was a period of time where I was like, oh, okay, we gonna sell apparel, right? Because everybody was out here selling shirts. And then I was just like, so only two people gonna buy it? Like, come on now. What what is going on? Oh, y'all buying everybody's shirt except for
mine.
right, but what was the thing that kind of had you bounced around? And then what was the thing that when you like your aha moment of like, no, it's this. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I think at first it was, I didn't know when I started as a content creator, I didn't have a strong relationship with God. It was just me doing my thing and kind of tapping into this gift that I had, this thing that I like to do, and just wanting to do it.
Yeah.
So the pivots were just, I'm no longer happy here. And a lot of the times what I did was I didn't fully let go of something, and like I was doing both at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
Then it got to a point where it's like I gotta let one go, and then I went and I fully transitioned into the other ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like most times that was how the transitions went. But when I started, when I rededicated my life to Christ and I got closer to Him again, there became a point where it was, well, many points where it was like, I need you to tell me what my next step is. Like, and I'm gonna, whatever you say it is, even if it doesn't make sense, and most of the times it didn't, I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to do what it is that you're asking me to do. And for me, what helps me confidently pivot is is knowing that it's God that's sending me to do whatever it is. So now it's more so based on what is He telling me to do? Because if He said so, He's going to make a way for it. And I don't have to make myself go crazy worrying about the details and the how and I'm just going to go. And as I go, He will tell me what to do and how to do it and what it will entail.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what I was saying at the beginning of this. Like when my pastor said trust, you choose to trust God with the consequences of your obedience, because that's the reason why we don't go. That's the reason why we don't obey. It's because we're worried, like, all right, well, if I do this, what I'm getting, right?
Yeah.
And I, some at one point this year, it's probably I think it was the top of the year that I told people, God isn't interested in our results. He's interested in our obedience. That is what He's looking for. But we're concerned with the results. We want to know what is it. Our flesh wants to know, what is it going to look like? Okay, if I do this, Lord, and what do I get out of it, right? And that's not the reason why we do things, because really we don't get what we deserve. We always get better, right? Because I always say to myself, like, you ask yourself this question when He's asking you to do something that's going to stretch you, right? But when you are disobedient, you want Him to forgive you. You want Him to forget it even happened. Like, Lord, just pretend like today didn't even happen. I'm not even here. Look, you don't see me. I'm invisible, right? But when we want something, we're like, okay, he has to. It's kind of, I'm in this space right now where I'm like, okay, there's certain things that as a child you give your kids a little bit of leniency and some stuff, right? And you'd be like, okay, you are getting very close to the disrespectful line, right? And you're getting very close to this space where the grace that I'm giving you, I'm about to yoke you up, right? And we treat God like that. Like, we just know because the grace is there, we just like, we be out here wilding and tripping and like then be like, oh wait,
hold on. In all reverence, Lord. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just, I didn't really know. So yeah, so then the part of the second question is that like your pivot to what it is that you do now. Like, how did you know that this was it?
The amount of peace that I feel when I do it, and not just the amount of peace, but like the stories, even the story you shared at the beginning of the podcast of like coming across my posts and like it speaking to you so much. Like, half the time when I read back, I'm like, I wrote this? Wow. and I'm like, Holy Spirit, you did your thing. But it's like just seeing the ways that it's impacting people. I'm like, wow, this is above me. Like this is not about me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much there that I'm like, wow. like I can see what God is doing, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to partner with you.
Yeah, that is. So as you listen, I told you I was gonna find it.
Oh
As you were
yeah,
going through it, I went, and I was like, I'm gonna find this post for real. So it is the post. It's from December 2022, December 19th, 2022. It says, "For the girl who is about to walk through a door she feels unqualified for." Y'all, I ain't even about to tell you what the rest of it says, but whoever needs that, when we share how you need to connect with her and all of that, and you get in the show notes, I need you to read that, okay? Because I was like,
yeah,
ma'am, ma'am, like
yeah,
it was one of those things. So yeah, so when you say that like those moments are happening,
yeah. Can I share something about that post?
yes,
So when you mentioned Moses earlier, like he is my favorite person in the Bible because I can relate to him so much. Like when
yes.
God is telling him, go and save this, he's like, huh? You want me to go where? And do what? He had questions. And I identify with that because when God calls me to do stuff, I don't always say yes right away. And like Mary, when the angel came and was like, you're going to be the mother of the Messiah. You're going to, she's like, I am your humble servant.
Right. I was like, child,
Immediately,
you ain't
yes.
ask no questions.
No, no questions. And I'm like, no, I don't relate to that, but I relate to Moses and him asking questions, being like,
Oh gosh.
you want me to do what? And so I was going through a season at that point where God was asking me to walk through a door, and I was like, I can't.
Mm.
Do you want me to what? But he just kept telling me like it's not about what you can do. You gotta
Yeah.
let go and trust that I'm with you in that. And that's what that post came from, was from that. Like I was in the moment going through it, and I was like,
Yeah.
somebody else must be going through it, and this is what he's teaching me through this. So I hope it helps them. So
Yeah, listen, I am living proof, right in front of you saying yes. That was when I was like, oh my God, like this right here. Whoo, like when I know, right? And I was like, okay, let me write her down on my list for pitching of next year. Like usually I'll be playing around, like, oh, I'll just wait. And I was like, nope, we doing this. I was like, go ahead and we gonna get it done. But yeah, no, I appreciate it because oftentimes like what we do and what we're going through is meant to encourage others. I say all the time, our obedience is connected to somebody somewhere, right? And our testimonies and the things that we've gone through, God put us through those things so that when someone else is going through it, we're able to lend a hand, right? And we're able to testify to say, like, no, let me tell you what I did to get out of that. Let me tell you how God helped me. It may not be in the same way, but what you do know is that you're not by yourself, right? And so even when we're talking about this self-doubt journey, my journey looks different from everybody else's, right? And even when I explain to people where my self-doubt comes from, everybody's kind of like, what? Like, because they can't see it, right? Because all of your self-doubt, for most people, your self-doubt is, well, everybody, your self-doubt is inner, right? Because it's you telling yourself whatever it is. But for me, my self-doubt stemmed from my Bell's palsy. So what I see when I look in the mirror, what I see when I look in this video camera is not what everybody else sees, right? Like, I see that there's one side of my face that's crooked, and there will always be that. So when I always say I am, like, I am slaying self-doubt, is because when I show up, I have to take that with me. So every single time I'm encouraging I'm encouraging myself, and I have to continue
that
to
part.
every single day slay,
Yes,
right? And so it took me a
yes.
while to realize. I was like, oh, slaying is an action. Like, it's not past tense, it's not future, it is like we are doing it every single day, right? And so when you are giving this advice and you are walking in your journey and you are sharing with people, hey, like, I'm imperfect and God still loves me, I'm imperfect and God still uses me, it makes people who, I would hope, it makes people who don't believe or who are unsure or need to be reminded of who God is. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Amen. Praise God.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Always. Like I always say, everything I share, it's from going through it myself and just
Mhm.
wanting to encourage and pour into others. and know that the right people will see it, you know?
Yes, exactly. That it will. The people that are meant to be, the people that are for you are for you. The people that God is meant to connect you to, those are the people that are going to find you, right? And so, you know, cool. We talk about self-doubt. There's a specific part in this, right? For this, specifically for you, just because of the transitions to what you were kind of doing and how you ended up in this space. I know for me, when I initially started this, you know, slaying self-doubt, like I knew it was a God thing, but then I felt like when I gave it to the masses, I was like, well, I'm gonna take God out of it, right? Because I didn't want to push nobody away. I didn't want to make nobody feel some type of way. But you know, it took a little bit, but God gathered me very quickly and was like, girl, I gave
What
this
you
to
doing?
you.
Yes.
I gave this to you, right? And so then I had to be bold in my faith and saying, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't what you I don't know what you want me to do. Like I just
Yeah.
I got nothing, right? So how has self-doubt showed up in your journey, and with that transition for what you were doing to making what you do being God centered, how did that shift as well? So dang, I got like two questions every time.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I'm gonna try to answer them because I feel like there's two things there. So the main one self-doubt has shown, or the main way self-doubt has shown itself has been through like feeling unqualified to talk about God to other people. Because I'm not a preacher, I'm not a theologian. I haven't. I'm still studying my Bible. I haven't read the full Bible, you know, and so it's always like, yeesh, like
That's
yeesh.
when Moses comes in and you be like,
Yeah, oh, I love because I'm like, I'm
I
Moses.
stutter, Lord. I'm stuttering.
I'm like, Lord, I don't think I should be the one talking to your people. You have way more qualified people that can go talk to them. And even sometimes like I wrote a devotional, I've been writing devotionals for my church, and even that, like feeling like me writing for a church, like that feels so official, like Lord, sure, like so it's been combating that. But the main way that I've been able to like work through that self-doubt has been, one, I don't talk about anything that I don't know. So like there are many questions that people have that I don't have the answer to, and I'm okay saying I don't know. Like, I know with being a creator, sometimes there's a pressure to show up as an expert in whatever it is that you're talking about. And I don't consider myself an expert at God. I'm still learning him and growing in my relationship with him. And so I can only speak on what I've learned so far about him in my journey with him, you know? Yeah. So just like overcoming that has been the main thing. The second thing was, I lost the second question.
Oh, it was about transitioning, like going from like self-love to business to saying, no, I'm going to be Christ-centered and 10 toes down with him. What you want?
Yeah. So the funny part about that was I didn't think at first that I could just have a brand about God. Like I always thought it has to be God. No, it has to be something else with a sprinkle of Jesus. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Where I
it
would be
does.
like,
It does.
oh, I'm going to talk about self-love, but I'm also going to sprinkle some Jesus posts here and there. Or I'm going to talk about business and marketing, and I'm going to sprinkle some Jesus in there. Like it was, I was like, how do you build a brand just around Jesus? Like that concept didn't make sense until I was like, I was obedient, where he said, let me just create about me, just talk to people about me. And I'm like, just that, nothing else? He's like, nothing else, just tell them about me. And I was like, okay. And I just went, I remember it was April of 2022 where I made that transition, and I just started creating solely Christian content, nothing else, just Jesus. And it's been crazy to see
I'm sure
how he's shown me that it is possible. I know you didn't think it was possible, but it is.
Listen, when you first said, the first thought that popped into my mind, I was like, churches do it all the time.
I know. But then remember, one of my doubts was, I'm not a pastor.
Right?
I'm not a preacher. I'm not. Ooh, what? Huh? Yeah.
And so for me, I think that what the difference is that so what I have learned in that transition and being bold about your faith is that people need it, right? They need it from
Yeah.
people who look like us, who are regular
Yeah.
degular, who are out
Regular.
here saying, child, I got it wrong today, but I'm gonna get it right
Yeah.
tomorrow, right? I'm gonna get
Yeah.
it right tomorrow. And
Yeah.
being able to be honest enough to say that I'm not judging you, right? I went to this conference a few weeks ago, and they were talking about people who have been deconstructing their faith, right?
Mhm.
And I was just like, such an interesting topic, right? I want
Yeah.
to learn more. And so
Yeah.
as they were talking about it, I was just like, you know what? It's a lot more people that I actually know who are doing this that I didn't know, right? And it
Mhm.
was like this thing of like some of the people that were asking, and I, ended up asking the question like, okay, so what do you do? Like, how do we manage that? And the guy was just like, you don't do anything. Like Jesus doesn't need defending.
Ooh,
You don't have to defend him. Like you walk alongside with them, and whatever he's going to do, but
that
we
was the
don't judge.
word.
It was right. Like I was like, oh, okay, he don't need
Yeah.
defending. You're right. People just need you to walk alongside it. People and the my like after that whole, I was there for a week. After the whole week that was over, the thing that like when we got back and I talked to my team, we kind of debriefed and it was like, what's your one takeaway? And I was like, people need to feel seen. That's
Yeah.
it. Like it
That's
was
it.
really that no matter what it is, like I can share my faith. I can tell you what it is that God has done for me. It don't have to be, putting my air quotes, you guys, for those of you not watching on YouTube, but you should be. Um and my air quotes, right? Like I'm not a theologian. I'm not super. You don't have to be super churchy. You don't have to be. My husband calls it like throwing Bible darts. To try to like nail it. If listen, if
Yeah.
Jesus wants you, He will come snatch you from wherever you at.
Yes. Yes, he is.
I listen. There's a lot of people who could be like, that was me, right? And
Yeah.
so knowing that I don't have to defend him,
Mm-mm.
that the amount of stress and expectation that I feel like was released from me to be like, all you have to do is walk your life out and walk alongside the person and ask them what they need. Like
Yeah.
maybe they don't want you talking about it all the time. It may just be, let me just show up, right? And so that is what
Yeah.
I see that you're doing. You're just showing up, right? Like this is it. This is you gonna get this, and that's gonna be the, and then I'm gonna go about my
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I say like God is not interested in your results. He will reward you for your obedience.
He will. And then the thing is, not everybody is your assignment.
Mm,
And not everybody, you will not speak to everybody. Like
amen.
everybody needs to be spoken to in a different way. So there could be a person that has yet to that needs to hear God, but my tone and the way that I go about it doesn't work for them, but someone
Absolutely.
else does. That's
Yep.
a beautiful thing. Like we can show up differently and like, but I think when people feel the pressure to like, I need to be the one to speak to them and you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to just be
Mm-hmm.
you, show up, and whoever you're meant to reach, you will reach, and whoever it's someone else's assignment, they will meet their person.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll be surprised how, like, at the end of the day, when we say that we're his vessel,
Mm,
we don't say how we get used, what gets poured into us. And we don't know if the vessel's being used for.
mm,
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. We in the Bible you hear about water, wine, and oil. It could
mm.
be the same vessel the whole time. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, but whatever comes out of it is going to be
Different.
appropriate for that scenario, for that group of people, for whatever it is, he will use it for however he needs because it's him.
Amen.
Period. Like
That part.
that's that's the listen. I always say, child, I don't know how people do it without him. If you do, that's your business. But for
I
me,
don't.
I
I really
tried and it ain't work.
don't.
I tried and it did not work. Okay.
I
Like,
know. Same. From experience, I'm like, I can tell the difference from trying to do things in my own strength and
yes.
letting go and being like, okay, Jesus, I will move when you tell me to move, and I'll
Yep.
go when you tell me to go. And every single step I take, I'll let you like it's been life changing. I don't always know where I'm going or where he's
Mm-hmm.
taking me, but I'm just obedient and I trust him as we go.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
So much. So much. And you know, I feel bad taking the credit because I'm like, I think it's been more so what has been teaching me through
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
process. And endurance. He's been teaching me endurance, to trust him.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that I did not see myself
Mm.
doing. So for example, like how I shared earlier, I didn't think it was possible to just have a brand around faith. And now
Yeah.
here, like, I would have never thought this would have been the path that I'm on, and yet here I am.
Here you are.
Um, there, writing. I always love writing, but I never thought like that was something that, you know, he would use in the capacity that he has. And
Mm-hmm.
yet here we are. Like there's a lot of, I guess, hidden gifts that I've suppressed and not
Yeah.
tapped into.
Mm-hmm.
He's been like, no, I want to use that. I want to
Yeah.
use you this way. I need you to tap into this more. And that has been interesting to see the growth and the development in ways that I would not have chosen. But I see the fruits of like him building me and pushing me out of my comfort
Yeah. Yeah.
and doing these things. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a testament to the fact that he will use all of us. He will
Yeah.
use every bit of who he's already gifted you. Like
Yes.
he he gave you those things, right?
Yes.
The added bonus is when you're able to do it for his glory, right? When you're able to do it for him, because a lot of people, they have these, they don't have that opportunity, right? That thing necessarily isn't necessarily in the cards for them, right?
Yeah.
But you still have a gift that you have to use. And I think the what I am learning is that all the things that we said that we're not, you know, being Moses in the beginning, like I ain't a this, I'm not that, like
Yeah.
Lord, how you gonna use me, all this other stuff. Um, this is our ministry,
It is.
right? Like it is our ministry. So technically,
Yeah.
you're the pastor of Highly Favored Creative, and I'm the pastor of Slants Out.
I like to think of it as a community and I'm team leader. I'm like,
that
that's better.
that removes the pressure, right?
That's a lot of pressure.
It is, but
Mm.
again, going back to the series that I was listening to today about Jonah, and my pastor says like God uses people, right? He will always use people to get his message across. Like it's the difference between, oh man, I hate when I like gonna Google messages. I think I feel like this is coming from the same place. It really is. It's like the waiter and the chef or something. I think that was the example he used. Like the chef cooked it, but the waiter serves it, right?
Yeah.
The waiter
Yeah.
is, it doesn't come from the waiter, right? And so he says the same thing, like it comes from God.
Mm.
The message comes from him. We just are the one who are delivering it, right? And so you have to look past us to be
Yeah.
able to hear the message from, oh, and I just got goosebumps.
Yes, same. I
To
was
be
like,
able to
oh,
hear the message from him, right? And so the reality is that when we speak, when we're sharing our testimony, when we're sharing our stories, when we're sharing our love for God, it
mm,
is out of the strength and the knowledge of what he's done for us. We're not saying nothing that ain't true, right? Like, but I'm speaking from my experience, and that's what you feel, right?
mm,
But when it hits you, which is the reason why we be like, oh, like it's the reason why. So for me, I get confirmations from people, right?
yes.
And so that's the reason why you could be thinking of something, and then somebody says something, you be like, nah. How? Because he used a person to
Yeah.
confirm what it is he already put inside of you. And so when you hear it back
Yeah.
to you, you're
Oh my
like,
goodness.
now what in the, and until you know that that is how, like, you have to have a relationship with him to be able to know that that is how he does his confirmations, right? I was
Yeah.
telling a friend today that I was literally talking about this
Yeah.
service, this sermon, the story of Jonah, and today I had a therapy appointment, and we're talking, and so I say some stuff where I'm just like, well, I really don't want to do it, and she's like, well, why? And I was just like, I mean, this can't be what God wants me to do. And her
Hmm.
exact words were, okay, Jonah.
Oh,
I wanted to pick up my laptop and throw it across the room because I said,
yeah.
it's no way you knew that. There's no way. But what I did know was like, okay, well, listen, I think it
Confirmation.
was confirmation, but I was like, I don't know if our
Yes.
time is up, but I'm done talking to you. So
Yeah.
I was like, let me go watch this series so I can get my whole life together because that
Yeah.
was the nudge that I needed. That like, okay, God is trying to tell you something, and you out here playing around. I'm ascended in a way that you couldn't have. Oh, maybe I had a conversation with them, right? Like maybe they saw something. This lady don't follow me. She don't know me. Like you are hired, right, to help me. There's no way you would know that.
You would have known that. No.
But God knew. He knew who I needed to hear from in the
So
time that I needed to
intentional.
be able to hear it in the way that I needed to hear it to receive it and not
Yeah.
take, because if I heard it from somebody else, right, and it was because we've been having I just would have been like,
Yeah. But it
that,
had to be an impartial person, someone
yeah,
that had
yeah.
no knowing other than him, so that you could be like, oh wow, I see you.
Yeah. And I think that when we are doing what we do, I think we have to know today watching that was a reminder that like you're the messenger. Doesn't matter that you don't have you think you're supposed to have a title and some kind
Yeah.
of official background. No, your life is your background. Your life is your
Yeah.
experience. You know what I'm saying? That's your education because you can witness to people based off of what you've been through. So that was just confirmation for me too, Lord. Okay,
You just
thank
gave
you.
me confirmation a little bit too. Let me share you how. Because God, you know that song, Dependable, Dependable God, intentional.
Yes.
He
Uh-huh.
is
Uh-huh.
so intentional. Because I had a friend who's been prophesying to me that, Kemi, you're going to be speaking, you're going to be on a stage someday, pastoring, doing some type of thing. And then you were just talking about like being the pastor technically of what? What? And I'm over here telling you, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm
No,
not.
let me just go ahead and say what listen.
That's insane.
Because to like y'all are watching this happen in real time, right? That's what God does.
Yes.
It literally has nothing to do. Like I don't know that. I met this lady today. Like I mean I've been
Yeah.
following her, but she ain't shared that. So there's no way that I would have
Oh,
known. But
wow.
that's the way God uses us. That's the way the Holy Spirit just shows up to give you that prompting, that nudge, that confirmation that what it's just already confirms that hey, I use somebody else to tell you something that you don't
Yeah.
even believe for yourself, right? But
I having a Moses
uh
moment, like, wait, I'm a writer. I'm not a speaker. What do you mean? He's like, you about to become a speaker. And I'm like, okay.
ma'am. And here's the thing though, right? Because it doesn't always look the way we think it's supposed to look, right? And so even
Mm,
when they say that, right?
mm,
Okay, God. So I told y'all already been in this. So whoever this is for, it's for the both of us. But whoever is watching and listening is for you too. Uh Same story, Moses, okay? When the Israelites were in the wilderness and God was giving them manna, right? It was a little seed that they had to work to for it to become bread, right? In order for it. So what happens is we be like, well, Lord, I asked for bread, right?
mm.
He give you manna that's just a grain that you have to do what you need to do for it to become bread, right? And
Yeah.
so even in that instance, like there's lots of way to speak. It don't
That
have to be on the stage, right? And that doesn't mean that you're not still using your gift. And There are ghostwriters. Even if you say that you're right, what if someone else is speaking your words, right? There's podcasts, there are video vlogs, there's so many different things that the Lord is saying, what is in your hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
And
wow.
those are the things where we be
Wow.
like, well, I don't have this. I'm not that. I don't. And he's like, we already have everything that we need. Every
This,
single thing. So whatever it is, you he gonna use it. He gonna use every. I'm just grab it all out.
this was for me. Just wow. She said, "What do you have in your hands?"
What do you have in your that? And again, this is the reason why Moses is my guy, because all of those things, that every single thing that he said up until, and here's the thing, y'all. At the end, God was frustrated, and he was like, you know what? Fine, fine, okay. Get Aaron, go get your brother, okay. He gonna come with you, right? That's fine.
Yeah,
But guess what? It doesn't absolve you of what you were supposed to do. Aaron and Moses went together. And
they
in
did.
the beginning, I used to be like, I don't need no Aaron, because I thought God was giving it away. And then
Mm,
as I've been studying the Bible lately, I'm like, no, like we need help.
yeah,
And so there's plenty of times where you need the help, because whatever God is going to put on you, you need somebody else to be able to understand the vision that you have, and to so that you both can run with it. So because you're not going to have the capacity to be able to sustain the length of it all the time, right? And so,
yeah,
that was just a side thing, but still knowing like all the things, every single time God used that staff.
yeah. Ooh, every single time. Every
Every
single.
single time he said, raise your hand, raise your staff.
Oh my goodness. Every single time.
Every single time.
Every single. Oh my
It
goodness.
is it is this is the reason why once I was like, okay, I am committed to the fact that what slaying self-doubt is going to be, like, God is at the center of it, because you have to understand that without him, none of this is like I've said from the beginning, I did not want this. I did not ask for it. I never even wanted to be an entrepreneur. I can distinctly remember I was in a leadership position, and a year before, having a conversation with my sister, and was like, I could never be an entrepreneur. It's too much responsibility. I had no problem working in somebody else's business, doing their stuff. Like, I
Yeah,
need to be a leader, because I can't go backwards. I ain't doing that. I need to be able
yeah,
to make effective change, and I need to be able to, like, because that is me. Like, I am a leader. I have to have that type of role, right?
yeah.
And so then a year later, when he like, well, this one, I'm like, now, did you not hear me say that ain't me, right? And he
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, but anyway, right? Like, he just ignored
That
me. Like,
part. That part. Yeah. No, I've seen him do that so many times in my journey. I'll be like, even the speaking thing where I'm like, no. And I've been for so long. And he's like, you're gonna do this. So I need you
mhm.
to embrace that and just, oh my Lord.
Yes, it is. I mean, listen, we are out here doing God's work. And so when you say
And
yes, right? You say yes to it all, no matter
no matter what,
no matter what. And we're not saying it's easy, guys.
not
It is rewarding, but it do be stressing you out. And that's the reason why I tell people, I'm not about to be out here telling you I talk to God the same way I talk to regular people, because he just need to know.
yeah,
Sometimes he be a bama for some of the stuff he do, and I'd be like, now you supposed to be knowing everything, but you out here setting me up, right? Like, because I need to be, I cannot, because it's me, right? But he
you
also
have
be
to be
talking.
honest. Like you have when you have a relationship with God, like and you're talking to him, like it's a conversation, it's a
It is
dialogue.
a conversation.
And a lot of the times it's and you should be open. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people feel like when they're doubting or when they're feeling negatively about wherever God has them, that they can't approach him with that, that they have to keep that and because it's be terrible for me to question God and no, be honest with him and be like, hey God, I
Yeah.
trust you, but what's happening? This bring your questions to God, like talk to him like you would talk to your friend because he is your friend.
Yeah.
So I think
Yes.
that also helps you through those doubts is being honest with him about you feeling them, because he can't help you through what you're being dishonest about. You know?
Gotta tell the truth. That's shame the devil, y'all. Tell the
Yeah.
truth. Okay, so let's talk about highly favored creative. I want to tell the people, I want you to tell the people what it is that you do, where, what it is that you offer. And one of the questions, because as I went to go find my post that I was like, oh, that's how we got connected. So after you answer the questions about what it is you do and what they can get from you, I want to specifically talk to the person who is in that space where they feel like God is not listening. And they're in that space of, I mean, I be hearing y'all, but for real, he is just not, he didn't forget about me.
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of that in the air lately. I had a conversation with someone and she said, I feel like God has forgotten about me. And I was like, ay. Because I can relate to being in those places where you're just like, Lord, like if it feels like you don't hear me. One thing that helps me, because I do be feeling like that too sometimes, because there's some prayers, some things I'm still waiting on and I'm still believing God for that have yet to come to pass in my life. And it's just like, yo,
yeah,
I know you care. And I know you're showing up in all these ways. And I'm trying really hard not to focus on like where you have not shown up yet. But sometimes I do feel like, why are you not hearing me in this area? Right. And so what helps me is realizing that like my feelings, like we may feel like God is not present, but our feelings are not like factual, right? He's always there, regardless of how you feel. He's always there. And so sometimes it's hard. This is not easy by any means, but it's you have to remind yourself that no matter how I feel in this moment, God is here.
Yeah.
No matter how I feel in this moment, God is always with me. His word says he goes before us and he's with us no matter what. His word says that not to be afraid, not to be discouraged, because he's always with us. And so like reminding yourself of what his word says and how that trumps how you're feeling right now in that moment helps you like it gives me a little bit more comfort in those moments, right? Because it's not easy. It's not easy, but focusing on the truth of his word and remembering that, my feelings don't change that truth. That helps me in those moments.
Yeah. It's like grounding, right? Like I think about the coping skills that you have to use when you're having, panic attacks or an anxiety, moment where you're like, okay, what do I see? What do I feel? What do I smell? What do your even though your body is having some type of reaction to whatever the thoughts are when your mind is going haywire, right? You are using actual factual things. Like that's why you hear people like they take their shoes off and because they want to feel the ground because that's not moving, right? It's there. That's a fact. It's stable. It's your foundation. You're touching the things that are around you. You touch your face. You are saying, oh, okay, I'm going to touch, because I can see this. It's actual. The difficulty is that we can't see God.
Yeah.
And so it makes it hard to believe in a thing that you can't see, right?
Yeah.
And it was this like random kind of, again, I think it's random. But during COVID, I was having this conversation with somebody and I was just like, okay, we believe COVID exists, right? Some people do, some people don't. You can't see it, but guess what you're doing? You wearing a mask, you putting on gloves, you washing your hands, the 20 seconds multiple times out the day. We was outside with bleach water cleaning off our groceries. Okay, we was soaking all the things now, right? Because it's the same way with God, right? When we in the midst of our storm, we is like, I'm gonna pray every day. I'm gonna read the Bible. I'm gonna watch the sermon. I ain't listening to no music, but the gospel stations. I'm just all I'm doing, God, 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 God. And then the minute the light, the tunnel, he's like, oh, okay, we almost at the end of this. All right, okay, Lord. And then you slowly start to be like, oh, I'm really need that no more, right? Like now I'm gonna just show up on Sunday. I may listen to oh, you know what? I did hear that song. Let me just hear it real quick versus just kind of staying in it. Guess what? The virus is still out here, y'all, because people still getting sick. I just want y'all to know, right? It doesn't matter that you don't have the same attention to it, but when I was having a conversation, I was like, but you believe it. You can't see it.
Don't see it.
You can't. It's the same thing with air, wind. We can't see it, but guess what? We put on a coat when it's windy.
Yep.
You be like, "Ooh, it's windy outside. Let me get my hat, and let me get my hat, right? Let me bundle up because of the wind. That is not visible, right? You don't see it at all, but you believe it's windy, and you can feel it when that joint hit 50 degrees. You like, oh my car,
literally
it's shaking. Like, but you can't see it, and so I think to your point that like we have to know that it's there. Because guess what? Even when it ain't windy, the air is it's still a breeze.
Still there.
It is still there. Because if you watch whatever I can't remember what they use in the weather word. I can't remember the name of it. It's going to come to me after this too. But it'll tell you like the miles per hour.
Miles per hour.
Yeah, there we go. Yes. And so if you got wind gusts of 55 miles, it is windy. But on an average day, it's at 5.
Yeah, because it's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
And so to your point, like he's always with us. He's always right there, and he's always waiting for you.
Ooh, that part.
He's waiting for you.
That'd be the part. And it's not to diminish, because I know things get hard. Sometimes when you can't feel God as much as you used to, or if you've never felt him, like you have to ask yourself, are you looking for him? Are you seeking him? Are you intentionally going after him? You know, and that looks differently. That could be reading your Bible. That could be listening to worship music. That could be watching a sermon. Like, are you hungering for him? Do you really his presence, and are you like seeking him?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not seeking him enough. That's why you don't feel him. You know?
Yeah. And sometimes, y'all, this is just an added bonus before we get out of here. You ain't seeking him because you know what he about to ask you to do, you don't want to do. Okay. You out here like you thinking you ignoring him, and he be like, okay, you keep ignoring me if you want to. But what ends up happening is that we end up getting wrapped up in something, or I always call it, you get sat down. Okay. And I've been sat down enough times on multiple different occasions. I'm like, Lord, could you have picked something else to get my attention? It will always be something that you be like, okay, God, what do I need to learn out of this? Because you was picking on me, right?
You clearly want my attention. So hi, here I am.
Attention. Hey, how you doing? What you want me to sit down? Okay. And so the moment, I always say the lessons that we have to learn them quickly, because he will continue to give it. Like, okay, I'm trying to teach you patience, but you out here being impatient. So guess what? Your turn again. Like you're gonna figure that part out again. That's gonna be on you. But yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's just over the last couple of years, it is which is why I was saying earlier, the conversation that we were having about deconstructing your faith was so important, because that panorama changed some things for people, of the question being why, right? And I'm telling you, y'all read the Bible. There's some other stuff that happened that you would be like, I'm just glad he didn't send the waters. Okay. Okay, he told Noah he wasn't going to do it.
He said he's not going to do it again.
He's not going to do it again like that. However, y'all out here wilding, he might just.
I know, please, you guys.
I mean, he done sent locusts, fire from the air. Like, listen, there's been a lot of stuff. I'm telling you, once I started reading it, I was like, these Bibles was tripping. And it makes more sense for me not to figure out, and not, and like now, bro, y'all was actually having like a voice was coming out of the sky. Like someone was telling y'all had like burning bushes, all these different things that were like real, like Jesus was walking with you and he was telling you what was going to happen. It's harder for us, and y'all was still doing that, which lets me know that like we in good company, like.
Yeah, we are. And I sometimes will look up like you just mentioned locusts. I looked it up I was like, ooh. No, you guys.
It's like them cicadas. And you know them joints is blind, so they just be all over the place. Ugh, I hate cicadas. Okay, so y'all see this is what
Sorry,
happens.
and I didn't even say highly
It's
favored
okay.
creative.
No, I'm going to ask again. So tell us what you do. What can people get from you? I know you have some journals. I know you have some ways that
Dude.
people can connect to like get on their journey. So I want you to share that with us.
Yes. So on Highly Favored Creative, I share faith-based content and encouragement. And what that looks like is 9 times out of 10, I'm going through something and I want to repurpose that situation and inspire you through it. I also love sharing Bible verses because in moments like we were speaking about earlier, where you don't feel God or you're feeling impatient, frustrated in your waiting season, whatever it may be, like affirming the word of God over yourself is really helpful. So I like to share like practical things that have helped me on my walk so that it can help you too.
Yeah.
I also have the Jesus Journal, which is it's a blank line journal that I created, but it was inspired from like my conversations with God. Like now I'm more comfortable praying audibly, but at first I struggled with praying out loud. So write to God and be like, hey God, and just start dumping my brain and just talking to him that way. And so when people approach me and they're like, I don't know what to talk to God about, and I'm like, well, here's a prompt, here's a journaling, talk to him about it, and just writing out to him. And you don't need my journal for that. You can use your own journal, but if you wanted your
It's
own,
helpful.
it is helpful. But
It
if
is.
you wanted your own Jesus journal, you can get it on my website. It's just kemikodja.com. You can go there and get it. But that's it. Highly Fair Creative is just all about sharing Jesus with you guys and giving you practical tools to grow in your faith.
Yes, I love it. You guys, I am a journal fanatic, so I think that all types of journals are amazing, right? Like you
Yeah.
just whether their prompts are really good because those are the things that like push you to go deeper,
Yes.
right? Because I can write what I want, whatever I want to
Especially
write
if
in
you
a
don't know
blank.
what to write about.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're new to the faith or you are re-entering or not re-entering, that's not it. What
Like
is
redeepening your relationship with
rededicating it?
God.
Yeah, that thank you. Because I was like,
Exactly.
that sound like you. I know that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're in that space where even though you're there, your flesh is still where you was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you need those things that's going to continue to propel you forward, and you may need that same prompt over and over again. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
repeatedly, I need to
And it's
know.
a
I need
process. It's a process.
yes, yeah, to be able to figure that thing out so that you know, like, hey, am I actually? Oh, okay, maybe not. But yeah,
Yeah.
so Kimmy, thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank
being here.
you.
I'm
Oh
so
my goodness.
appreciative of this conversation, and I could totally see you being a speaker. Just want you to know that, okay? I can see it, okay? And I'm sure
Thank
anybody else
you.
who's listening, they're going to be like, I thought she already was, because you are. You are. It's already who
Thank
you are. I'm
you.
just going to go
Thank
ahead and confirm
you.
that.
Amen. Amen.
So where can people find you? You said they can find you on kemikodja.com for your website, and if they want to connect with you on social media, where do they find you?
They can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, everywhere. At what Highly Favored Creative is the handle for all those places. So yeah, just come say hi.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much again. I'm
Yeah.
glad I found you. I am glad that I stumbled upon that post in December because it definitely was a matter of fact, y'all, well, I know I said I was gonna link it. Here I am thinking like it's not live. I'm like, I'm gonna repost it now. I'm gonna repost it now anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
And then y'all can click the link in the bio, not the bio. I always say that in the show notes so
Oh
that you can see
yes.
the see the post as well. Child, it'd be all jumping up. If I'm on like Instagram, I'd be like, yeah, click the show notes. And I'd be like, no, wrong place. Like, no, you click the bio over here.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for doing what you do and being there for the people that need you to be there, and continuing to be transparent and to be obedient, because I can guarantee you there are going to be a lot of people, but particularly women, because that's just how we be, right?
Yes.
Who are going to come to Christ or even deeper their relationship with him because of you. So thank you for your yes.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Poured life into me and everything. And thank you for having me here. Just thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. All right, y'all. Until next time. See ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.